Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I'm working on an art journal tag, so get comfy and let's get crafty. This is the Mission Inspiration Mid-Month Mini Mission for November 2023, and as soon as I saw the phrase cards on the table, one thing came to mind, and that was the Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. You gotta know when to hold them. You know that one? So I was really kind of surprised when I watched Mike's video because he also used song lyrics and I thought it was kismet. So we're going to start with a tag that is 4 inches wide by about 8.5 inches tall and 2 pieces of green pattern paper. It's actually one piece of paper cut into 2 pieces, but we're going to go ahead and use some liquid matte medium on the back of the pattern paper and a little bit on the front of the tag. Like always, I use way more than I need because I'm a really bad judge of that. But once I have that all spread around on the back of the pattern paper, I can take what's left on the paintbrush and put it onto the front of my tag. And that way it will kind of keep the edges adhered down. It will keep the tag from curling too much, I hope. This is a little bit of a thicker pattern paper. It's an old Stampin' Up! One I had in my stash. I chose it because it was green. Literally, that's the only reason it was green. So I'm going to go ahead and press down the edges, making sure all of the edges come in contact with that adhesive and the paper. I'm going to take the glue that's squeezing out of the edges and just smear it onto the back of that tag. And once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and heat set that with my heat gun. And super fast motion because it's paint drying, right? Then I will go ahead and trim the excess paper off of the front of my tag with my long Tim Holtz shears. This is real time. Yes, that is how I cut in real time because I want to make sure I don't cut a big old hole in the side of the tag because I have actually been known to do that before. Once I have that tag all trimmed off, I'm going to put a little dollop of gel medium on the front, or liquid medium rather, on the front of the tag as well, just to create a surface that I can work on. It's paper after all, and if I'm going to add anything else to it, I need it to be a little bit more resistant than regular paper. I am going to, now that it's dry, punch a hole in the top of the tag. I did put this aside to dry. My sister-in-law came over, we hung out for a bit, and then I went back to my tag. So it has been drying for a while. The next step is I'm going to add some of this watering can archival ink to the edges of my tag. This just kind of eliminates that white core from the paper and the tag that I created. So it's a little bit less of a, bright white against any other color is going to be a statement that says, hello, here I am, look at me, right? I also wanted to add some of that gray ink to the background of my tag. I pulled out this Dilutions Numbers stencil. And the reason I chose this stencil is because part of this Kenny Rogers Gambler song says, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. So I thought that the numbers and the whole counting thing would be a little bit of a ha ha ha. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't kind of thing, but it was clever in my mind. Anyway, I do have a couple of pieces of, or images that I have printed on my computer. This one is a handful of cards. Some of them are face up, some of them are face down. And we're going to go ahead and ink blend them around the edges of that handful of cards. I also have a couple of hands. These hands were holding something else. I just cut that something else out so that I could use them on my tag to hold my hand of cards. That's a lot of hands in there. Holy cow. Okay, we're going to go ahead and ink blend the edges of those images as well. And then we are going to put the hands and the cards together before we put them on the tag because I want to slide the cards between the fingers and the thumbs. I'm using the Yoo-Hoo Collage glue stick. This glue stick, the lid screws back on, so it doesn't really ever dry out. I really love that about this glue stick. But also, it seems to hold up pretty well. So I am going to go ahead and push that together, hold it down. And then I decided that it might be a good idea to put a little bit of washi tape on the back, those fingers there on the back, so they didn't peel up. while I was finishing up the collage element and adding it to my tag. So one thing is that these hands are cut off just, above the wrist. And I left the white paper on there so that I could have something to hold on to, really. And I did a little bit of a boo-boo when I added them to my tag and did not line the sleeve edges up at the edge of my card, but I had a really cool way to fix it, and you would never know if you didn't know. So now that I have that all assembled, I do want to put it at the bottom of my tag here, and see right now in my brain, I'm lining it up. I'm making sure all of that white paper is hanging off the bottom of the tag. I'm adding a little bit of that matte medium to the front of my tag, and then I will also put some on the back of the collage image because it's on copy paper, and if I didn't add adhesive to the copy paper as well, it could wrinkle. And I don't really want this particular layer to wrinkle. If the other papers had, no biggie, but this one I want to go down flat. Now, and here's where I just full on didn't pay attention. I put that sleeve up too high. But like I said, I found a fix, and it was like kismet. Again, I mean, this whole tag is full of kismet. I mean, Mike had song lyrics. The first thing that came to my mind was songs. And I had the perfect shade of blue marker to fix that sleeve in my stash. So it's like absolutely just meant to be today. So I also printed out parts of the chorus to that song. Just the first couple lines. You've got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. And I'm going to adhere this to the top of the tag right above that hand of cards in the hands. That's a lot of hands again. I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. I might be a little bit Thanksgiving drunk. Who knows? A little too much turkey in my system the last couple days. Best part about Thanksgiving, now that my children are all a little bit older than toddlers, is leftovers, because Mommy doesn't have to cook. Mommy says, here's what you can choose, and there's the microwave. And that has been awesome today. I'm just saying. Totally awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive over the top of that quote block. I did that as with the collage element down at the bottom, the hands of cards as well, because the marker I want to use to add some shadowing and to fix that blue sleeve is my Pitt pens. Before I do that, I need to clip off the edges that are hanging over the end of the tag. So I've just got a pair of little scissors here that are always on my desktop. Once I get that trimmed off, then I can pull out the blue Pitt pen. So I have a bunch of stuff. Oh, first I have to do the ink blending on the edge again. But I have a couple of different styles of Pitt pens. I have a handful of colors in the big barrel that they discontinued, but then they started making again. And then I have a set of thin barrel Pitt pens. Pitt pens are amazing. They are India ink, which is waterproof, but on a non-porous surface, it is smudgeable in the first few seconds. So I have a mostly dry baby wipe there to my right, and as I add the ink down, I am just wetting my finger down and smearing that ink around. I used the brown to go around the cards to give kind of a drop shadow. I'm using the orange on those cards where the back side is up. And in my printer, it printed it kind of wonky. They look orange. It's supposed to be red, but my print cartridge is almost out of ink. So, it came a little orangey. I used the gray to go around the rest of the cards on the white surfaces. And that just kind of added a little bit of a drop shadow. And now that I have that all done, I am going to put a little bit more of that gel medium, I keep saying gel medium. It's a liquid medium. It is a matte medium. There we go. On the back of that other piece of green paper, I'm going to add a little bit of it to the back of my tag. And then I am going to add the tag to the back of that pattern paper. And then I can go ahead and line up the bottom and the edge of my tag with the bottom and edge of that piece of paper. I'm going to hold it down in place so that it starts to stick. I'm going to clean up the edges with my paintbrush a little bit. And then I'm going to flip it over and use pressure to make sure that all of the edges, I'm tracing the edges of the tag through the paper, make sure all the edges are stuck down, make sure the pattern paper and the tag are adhered together well, and anything that is going to squeeze out is going to squeeze out now. But I can go ahead and clean that up with my brush. I'm pulling my scissors out to trim it off again, to clean up that, cut off all the excess pattern paper. That's the word I'm looking for. Once I have that all trimmed off, I will go ahead and add another little bit of that archival ink to the back side of the tag, again, just to hide that white edge to the paper. Don't want the white edge to show. It's a white core pattern paper. Don't want that to show. And once I get that all ink blended, I need to punch the hole back into my tag because I've now covered it up again. So I've got my crocodile. I have the larger of the holes, the hole punches on this one locked in place. I did have a little bit of leftover paper stuck in it, so I couldn't line it up very well. But I did get that hole punched, so it can go back on the ring for my tags. I am going to add the prompt card or the inspiration piece to the back of my tag with that collage glue stick. Just a couple lines of glue, it should stick. I've not had one fall off yet, so it works. Just clean up the edges of the glue stick a little bit, flip it over, make sure I've got it right side up if that really matters, because, you know, sometimes it matters, but on this one it doesn't. And then the tag is finished. I did realize after I finished filming everything that I had forgotten to sign and date it, so I did go back through and sign and date it after I was done with the video. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you had a lovely holiday weekend if you are celebrating holidays this weekend. I have a couple other videos here that I think you will like. I've also added that subscribe button. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment down below. Do you know the song? And give me a thumbs up. Have a really fabulous day.